Bash Bros movies, and we just got home from Spider-Man Homecoming. This has been a long time waiting. We've been waiting to see this. We saw the trailers, well, the first one at least. No, fine, whatever. I think we even did a reaction video to it, or the teaser. We forgot, but anyways, this is the third installment of Spider-Man in the live action universe. This time Marvel got rights to actually use Spider-Man within the MCU, and we got to see a completely different Peter Parker and a completely different Spider-Man than what we used to have, than what we've seen in the past. But there were issues, there were non-issues, there was a lot of stuff going on in this movie.
Speaking of issues, I think we can jump to a foregone conclusion, if you would, that this particular Flash Thompson is not gonna be Agent Venom anytime soon.
You know what? Who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen, but
not this.
Not this one?
Nah.
Okay. Whatever.
I don't see it.
Whatever.
I do want to see Deadpool and Spidey go share a movie at some point.
Dude, I'm still...
I think Tom Holland and Ray Reynolds would work off each other quite nicely.
Dude, I'm still waiting for that Captain America, Wolverine, World War II movie. So, stand
As am I.
So, as am I. Anything could happen, anything's possible. So, it could happen.
Except this particular Flash Thompson becoming...
You know, who knows? Who knows? Speaking of Flash Thompson... Speaking of Flash Thompson, I mean, we finally got to see a little bit. We got to see.
We got to see a douchey one.
Yeah, Joe. What's his name?
I don't know. A douche.
Joe, whatever his name is. Who's, playing a Deathstroke apparently in the new Justice League or Batman movie or whatever. Supposedly, he played the first installment of Flash Thompson in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but. Listen, Tom Holland as Peter Parker / Spider-Man did a pretty good job of portraying both. I mean, there's not much we can say that hasn't already been told. However, one gripe that I had with the movie is the lack of the spider sense. How can you make Spider-Man without spider sense and call it one of the greatest Spider-Man, or the greatest Spider-Man to ever be in the live action movie? To me, that...
They call him the greatest?
One of the greatest or the best portrayal, depending on who you read or watch or whatever. I've seen both, so...
Really?
I've seen people say both, so that's not my personal opinion. I still think Tobey did it better and
Let's
the best,
get some straight. Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man. Tom Holland actually got put into MCU. That doesn't make him better Spider-Man? I'm not saying he didn't do a good job with it. He actually did a heck of a job with it.
Hey, dude, Spider-Sense not being in the movie is definitely not Tom Holland's fault.
Yeah.
So,
but that besides the point. Tom Holland was great as Peter Parker, and he was great as Spider-Man.
Yeah, quirky, shy,
everything called for. Everything you expect Spider-Man and Peter Parker
to do, yeah.
But at the same time, while circumstances have changed as regards to Spider-Man and the MCU, you really can't jump and just say, oh, listen, court of public opinion doesn't, just because everybody thinks something's is the way it is, doesn't make it true.
Exactly. So, speaking of Spider-Man, you can have a Spider-Man without a good or even great or even a bad, poor villain, so to speak. But we got to see Michael Keaton as Vulture. He was first Batman in the movies. He brought Batman to what he was supposed to be. Then he was Birdman in the Birdman movie, so to speak. And now he finally got to play a Vulture, which is basically a villain, and quite a good one actually. When I saw Michael Keaton in the trailers, he was there in like for a few seconds, but when you see him in the movie portraying this evil, well, not necessarily evil dude, but depending on your point of view, Like, he does a really good job, and I mean, Michael Keaton is an established actor, so like to have a
I like
his
his Vulture more than I like Tom Holland's Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I did not know exactly what they're gonna do with the Vulture when they say Michael Keaton is gonna be in it. When they said Michael Keaton was gonna be Vulture, you're like, okay, which direction is this going? What kind of villain is he gonna be? I like his villain, and I like the fact that they actually gave you his story.
Yep.
They told you. They didn't just put him in there and say, okay, here's the Vulture. He actually said, okay, this is how he became Vulture.
Yeah, and
I like the story behind his character is great, and just Michael's portrayal of the character.
Yeah, listen, and usually in the 90s animated series and in the comics, Vulture was always a grumpy, evil old guy with a bald head of hair, pretty much, bald gray head of hair. But even though Michael Keaton is getting up there in age, yeah, a little bit, not so much. I think it's a comb over, but who knows? Listen, I'm glad that they chose a somewhat younger actor than the comic book version of the character. He's not necessarily old, but he's still pretty young to do everything that you were expecting a younger person to do. Not something that when you see an older man, like, he does look like a Vulture in comics.
What he's trying to say is actually, while the Vulture is usually portrayed by the older gentleman, Michael Keaton is still young enough to actually do a pretty good job acrobatically, if you would.
Yeah.
Just for, I don't know how many of the stunts he did himself.
Probably.
I would probably
something.
say he probably did some.
Not too much though.
Yeah, but he did some, definitely did some.
Listen,
So
I think
he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, Marvel and their stunt team, they do a pretty good job. I mean, always.
As far as the stunts go, yeah.
They always do a superb job. So
they don't leave you hanging. Visual effects in this one.
Yeah, we saw it in 2D this time around, and it was pretty solid. I mean,
there were a few scenes that are really, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
Visual effects.
A little bit of more shaky cam than in the beginning, but...
Yeah, but they work through it. Certain things they portray to you from the first phase, if you would. But as the movie progresses, the visual effects get pretty sick.
No, yeah, definitely. And listen, I mean Aunt May, pretty solid, and we cannot mention
Happy was happy.
Yeah.
Well, not Happy wasn't happy. Now was he? Now, for somebody whose name is Happy, he's never happy.
True, and that's one of my issues with this movie as well, because not only high school, like, I stopped caring about high school ever since I finished it. So when I see high school in the movies or TV shows, I'm like, okay, we're back in high school doesn't appeal to me one bit. I just want to get out of the high school.
Listen, they did not overdo it with the high school part.
That's true. However,
Andrew Garfield's Spidey
I'm
was
getting to my point though. I'm getting to my point though.
This.
Which gets me to my point about the Happy character. And not listening to a kid when he's trying to tell you something.
I think that part was played brilliantly.
I think it was necessary. I think it was well done, but to me it was a cliche, so to speak, because...
Well, it could have been, but when you look at at Tony Stark's role in the movie, basically Tony just leaves him to Happy and is like...
They're not really in the movie all that much. I mean, they're just the right amount.
Yeah, they didn't overdo it with them, but they did play off. Like, whenever Tony does show up, he actually knows what's been going on because Peter is keeping Happy updated, and even though Happy isn't happy about it, he still tells Tony what goes on. So they know what's happening on, but at the same time Happy has to babysit him, so he just tells him, listen.
Well, he's doing something else in the meantime, so he's really busy.
So basically just tells him, listen, you take care of yourself, don't call me.
Can we say that Happy has too much responsibility on his hands?
Not really.
Well, a little.
Hey, there was a bad pun.
I know.
That was a bad pun. Man.
I'm all about bad puns. Just like Spider-Man is sometimes.
You wanna... Yeah, but even his bad puns make it...
That is because he's Spider-Man, man.
Yeah.
Because he's wearing the suit. If he weren't wearing that suit...
And you wanna talk about the BFF?
I just don't want to go into that, man. I just don't want to... I think...
People say it was funny seeing their relationship. I was like...
No, not really.
No?
No.
No, I have nothing with the...
Dude, it's been overused way too much. It's been
overused.
overused
They gave Peter Parker a friend.
Which is cool. which is cool.
Who discovers that Peter is Spider-Man and
You've seen it in the trailers.
kind of butts in on everything that's going on. And while plenty of people are actually happy and ecstatic about the said relationship, this movie could have worked without it.
Okay,
I think it adds something to it. Not that much. Does it make it a better movie? Not necessarily. But they could have done it without it.
Yeah, but it's like, wasn't Peter always the loner though? Like even in the animated series, like he was always by himself. He didn't really. I mean, he had friends, but he didn't have like a BFF.
Yeah, that's why this movie was like a little weird.
Yeah,
still fun.
Just like Spider-Sense or lack of
fun. Or messed up timelines.
Yeah, don't even. Yeah, if you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about.
They messed up timelines with regards to the first Avengers, second Avengers,
and the Civil
War. But it's not that big of a deal. If you're paying attention to it, it'll drive you nuts. But at the same time, it's subtle enough that if you're not paying attention to it, you can still enjoy the movie. But the BFF part, I think they overplayed it. Like, I know some people are like, oh my god, that was great. They overplayed it. Didn't have to be there to make the movie great.
I would have liked it better if he was a skinny dude, not a fat dude. But
I don't even care about that part. I think
that's a fat BFF is overused. So it's like, to me that was.
Yeah, let's not go political. I mean, we don't care about offending you. We know we offend you. That's beside the point.
Yeah. However, so the timeline, the BFF, anything else? Michael Keaton, Iron Man. There is also a cool post-credit scene that you cannot miss. So stick around all the way
to
the
ending. Let's talk about the ending.
Which ending? The
ending.
Scene,
no, the ending.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the ending.
It's a real what the ending. Fun ending. Ending is
interesting.
Very, very interesting ending. And then when you're looking into the fact that, as far as we know, Spidey gets 5 movie arc. As the beginning, the Civil War, he gets Homecoming, he gets 2 Avengers.
Yeah, that was recently announced, yeah.
He gets 2 Avengers, and then he gets the second solo movie that comes up right after the second Avengers, and it's been told that Spider-Man is going to usher the MCU into the post Avengers stuff.
Did they call it Phase 4? Or?
No, they just said post.
So it could be they could pretty much reboot the whole MCU.
It could happen.
Just like they do in comic books. Just like Days of Future Past did for the X-Men.
They said that stuff that happens after the second Avengers, basically, right after the second Avengers, Spidey comes out and Spidey basically ushers the MCU into the next stage or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
You want to rate this thing?
I'm giving it a 20 out of 30.
Same here.
To me,
not the best movie I've seen this year.
Listen,
not a bad movie by any standard. Like, it's a fun movie.
I think it's the best Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man, not to be...
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire one. Agreed. I like what they're doing with it. Like I said, the BFF part I don't particularly like because I don't think it was required to make this movie work, and I think that in order to add the BFF sequence to it, they had to take some other stuff out of it, which maybe would have made the movie better. But here's the thing: this is movie number 1.
Yeah.
Spidey gets the arc in the Avengers 1, Avengers 2, and then he gets his own movie afterwards.
So it's Infinity War. Yeah. Infinity War and whatever comes after it.
Whatever comes after. The movie that was supposed to be Infinity War 2, but now we know it's not. It's gonna have its own working title. So the thing is, we're gonna see a lot more Spidey, and I'm actually looking forward because I like the general direction this is going. But this is just movie number 1, and right now, I'm not impressed. I'm not disappointed by any standard.
Agreed.
But I'm not impressed yet. I thought with all the PR stuff that was coming out of this movie, I thought I was gonna get blown away. And then when you leave the theater, and the best 2 things about this movie, best 3 things about this movie,
can't forget the Stanley cameo.
Stanley cameo. So best 4 things about this movie are Stanley cameo, the Vulture arc, No, just generally everything that involves Michael Keaton.
Okay.
And the ending, and then the last post-credit scene.
There's only one post-credit scene. There's
the
mid-credit scene and the post-credit.
So the best
Make
four
sure to
movies,
stick around.
best four things about this movie basically don't even involve Peter Parker or Spider-Man. And this is a Spider-Man movie. So like I said, I thought I was gonna get blown away. I thought that what they're gonna present is gonna be the best Spider-Man movie ever.
Speaking of the BFF, we saw like they drew inspiration for this Spider-Man from few of the comic books. I noticed a lot of Superior Spider-Man stuff, and I think the BFF that they drew it from the Universal, from Miles Morales universe, the Ultimate Universe, because
Like
Miles Morales had a BFF who found out in a pretty much similar manner that he's Spider-Man. So I think they decided to, you know, draw from a few different comic books and
like I
see
said,
what
we were
sticks.
not disappointed by any means.
We were disappointed, but not impressed all that much. Although, yeah, I mean,
I was let down.
the music is great. The score is pretty good. I noticed a few notes that resembled that of Danny Elfman's score for the original Spider-Man.
And we can just go on record here and said, had J.K. Simmons done JJJ in this one,
There was a bunch of scenes that would
that would have
definitely
been
make,
a lot more fun.
and that would definitely make
and that would
Spider-Man the Menace of New York.
And that would have definitely been your substitute for the BFF.
Yeah, true.
So,
And speaking of J. Jonah Jameson, hopefully they bring the character back, and hopefully they bring J.K. Simmons back to playing, because I don't know anyone else who can
this is
play.
probably the best part about
Yeah.
you know. Listen, it's a great movie altogether. It's a good movie altogether, not a great movie. You can have fun, but I don't know. Disappointed on this one.
A little bit.
Gave
Not too
him
much,
gave
just
him
a
a
little
20,
bit.
still a good movie, not a great movie.
Exactly.
Could have been better, could have been a lot better. And the thing with today's generation is basically when something gets positive feedback, all of a sudden it's the greatest thing ever. This one ain't. I don't know how they're doing on Rotten Tomatoes, but I know the word of
Working
mouth
really
is
good.
pretty good. I think people are generally in love with this movie. I ain't.
Maybe we're just a little bit more objective, so to speak.
Realistic.
With that, too. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, share, and yeah, just be nice about it. We'll reply. Till next time, Beige Bros out.